Welcome to the StreamHome Construction Podcast, where we take your project from conception to completion. Hosted by licensed general contractor Alex Cosley, we cover everything from accessory dwelling units to commercial construction in the greater Colorado Springs area. Whether you're dreaming of a new ADU, planning an office upgrade, or tackling a major renovation project, we've got the expertise to guide you through it. Let's get building.
ADUs give homeowners a head start by offering smart, pre-designed layouts that save time, reduce cost, and maintain flexibility. Welcome back, everyone. Skip Monty here, co-host / producer, back in the studio with licensed general contractor Alex Cosley. Alex, how's it going?
I'm doing great. Skip, how you doing today?
I'm doing just fine. Pretty spring day. I'm thankful for that. I was wondering, and I'm sure that some of our listeners have been wondering about this as well. Several times you've mentioned your model ADUs on the podcast. What exactly are ADUs?
Yes, Skip. So ADUs are accessory dwelling units, which are basically a secondary dwelling. Consider your main house your primary dwelling. An ADU would be typically smaller. Second dwelling can be used to rent out short-term rental, to rent long-term, to house loved ones, the guest house, a flex space. There's a lot of different options available, but at its core, an ADU is just a second a second dwelling that you would have on your property where you have an existing dwelling already.
So like a mother-in-law kind of building.
Yep, mother-in-law suite, granny flat, casita. There's like 100 different names kind of used in different places across the country.
Granny flat. That's a new one on me. I haven't heard that. Granny flat.
Yep.
Well, what type of properties are best suited for installing an ADU?
So, in Colorado Springs, with the new code change that's going into effect June 30th, most every residential property will allow an ADU. The most ideal conditions for an ADU would be having like alleyway access is typically preferred. Then you can have a separate entrance and separate parking on the backside of your property, even put a fence in between and have really two independent properties. Not always the case. So you ideally you really need some room for some extra parking and at least a pathway from the front of the house to the back if you don't have alleyway access, or if you're on a corner lot, you may not, that may be ideal as well without an alleyway. Oftentimes you can build a curb cut to build a driveway to the ADU on a side street. So definitely want to be thinking about your parking and access for vehicles and people who will be using the ADU. Lot size, there's no restrictions from the city on lot size any longer, but you're going to need at least a 16 by 24 footprint would be our smallest ADU model footprint. And then you typically want about at least 9 by 20 feet for a parking space. And we do offer the models we're designing with garages under that can accommodate the parking space in the same footprint as the ADU. So yeah, you want to have plenty of size. Ideally, you'd have enough power at your house already to tie into, or overhead power lines that we can tap into. And yeah, but then we also are looking for access to the site. We need ideally at least 6 feet of clear space on the side of the house to get to a backyard if there is no alley access, just for excavation equipment to come and materials in and out easily. So those are all really things that we're looking for. And then just geographically, depending on your ideal purpose or use of the ADU, if you want to do a short-term rental, you probably want to be somewhere where a short-term rental market is stronger, near the airport or near Garden of the Gods or Old Colorado City or some tourist destinations. Midterm rentals typically want to be close to a hospital or a kind of urban area. Long-term rentals can really vary, but yeah, so there's just several factors to keep in mind when looking for ADU-friendly property.
Now, you mentioned your models. How many model ADUs do you currently offer, and what makes them different or unique?
So yeah, we're super excited about our models. We're just kind of in the thick of getting those designed, let me say, and rolled out to be marketable to our clients. We have 4 models that are in design right now. Our first model, which we've been calling Model 1, we've been calling it Model 1, 2, 3, 4. We have just recently adopted a new naming convention. So we're going to start naming them after streets in Colorado Springs. So we've named Model 1 now. We're calling it the Prospect for a couple of reasons. One, it kind of fits. It's a small model, kind of a glimmer of hope, a prospect for the ADU future Colorado Springs, but also our office is on Prospect Street, and we're in the middle of securing a piece of land that's on South Prospect Street where we're going to build the Model 1 as a model that customers will be able to see and actually sell that property. We're going to end up building 3 of our models on that property. So Model 1 is the only one with a name so far, and it's a 384 square foot, 1 bed, 1 bath ADU. Then Model 2 is a 572 square foot, 2 bed, 1 bath ADU. And both of those are really designed to be kind of the most efficient 1 bed and 2 bathroom units that we can build for the lowest possible price. Work great for high efficiency rental or just needing to get the most cost effective kind of apartment in your backyard, whether it's for a mother-in-law or guests or whatever your purpose is. And then we have Model 3, which is a 704 square foot, 2 bed, 2 bath. It's the most kind of cozy, has the most spacious of our first 4 models. And yeah, so 2 beds, 2 baths, 2 full baths inside of that. Definitely bigger kitchen and living room compared to the other models. And then Model 4 is a 748 square foot, 3 bed, 1.5 bath. And so that's a super high efficiency rental unit for an investor. You can get really good returns even on a long-term rental using that unit. So the first 3 of them are really designed to just be the most efficient 1, 2, and 3 bedroom units that we can design that we think are still usable. And the reason that they're all under 750 square feet is Colorado Springs planning requirement. Basically, on any lot you can build, as long as you have space, you can build up to a 750 square foot ADU regardless of the size of the primary dwelling. So that's why we've, at least in our first 4 models, really stuck to keeping them all under that size limit.
And how many bedrooms was number 4?
Number 4 is 3 bedrooms, 1.5 bathrooms, squeezed into 748 square feet.
Wow. 3 bedrooms. That's crazy, man. In 748 square feet. Well, I thought I heard that at some point that having your model ADU can help simplify the permitting process. Is that the case?
Yeah, and that's one of the big reasons that we're moving towards the models, is to really expedite our design timelines, pre-construction timeline. So we're creating what are called master plans here in our building department jurisdiction. So we can draw up the plans for Model 1. We have a couple different options on that plan set. We get it to the building department and they basically pre-approve that. So we can build it on any different building site once we get the planning approval that's site specific. So that's a big reason, and that can cut down our timelines on pre-construction from 4 or more months down to potentially like 1 month in order to get a contract signed and start construction. So it can really expedite the timelines on that. And then the models are also expedite the process. They're designed to be very quick and efficient to be installed, minimal waste. Everything's like on 2-foot dimensions, so less cutting, less waste, just faster installs all around. We're hoping in the long run to get our model builds down to 3 months for like Model 1, maybe 3.5 months for the larger models.
Wow. So now, are they pre-constructed and you move them there, or how does that work?
Yeah, so these are actually going to be all stick built on site. We are considering in the future, depending on what kind of volume that we see and demand, potentially panelizing the units so that we would be building the wall panels in our shop and then transporting them to the site where they'd be installed to save some time on framing. But that probably won't make a lot of sense till we have higher volume of units, and then we kind of turn into more of like a factory to some degree. So for right now, yeah, everything will just be stick built on site. The way they're designed, again, they can be framed up really fast. So this isn't like building a 4,000 square foot custom home and you've got weeks of framing. Most of these are going to be framed in 1 or 2 to 3 days, kind of at the most. So we don't have major disadvantages. Of course, framing outside does make you more susceptible to weather, of course, and potential weather delays. But with the framing timeline being so short on these models, we're not super concerned that will gain us a big advantage to be framing these inside at this time.
Wow. Well, now, how do the model units compare in cost to? Can you customize an ADU? If you have a model, you can customize it.
Yeah, so our models, they're minimally customizable, especially right now. We're just trying to get them rolled out in a pretty basic with a couple of options, a couple of finish packages. We're not going to allow like structural changes, at least right in the beginning, and we'll prioritize people who want to build them as designed, partly just to get the wheels moving and get projects going. Because again, just making one small change can add a couple of months to the process pretty easily, just because then it has to go back to the building department, go through that cycle, and that can easily add a month or 2 months depending on the circumstances. So we're trying to avoid that, but we do want to give clients a choice. We'll have 2 pre-made finish packages. You can pick like the brushed nickel finish package or the matte black finish package. And those would be like 2 options that you could just check. They're already selected. We're good to go. We'll give clients the opportunity to pick all their own selections if they'd like to do so. And they'll just have to do it within a pretty truncated time period near the beginning of the project to make sure everything's in order. So we have kind of the space shuttle plan and we're ready to launch without making decisions once the project is commenced.
Gotcha. So they can customize to an extent, but there's a price to pay. It's going to take longer and maybe cost a little bit more.
Yeah, will cost more for sure. Will take longer. And we do plan to make them more and more customizable as time goes on, but we just are prioritizing getting them rolled out and available to buy, and really focusing on those model designs, so we won't have a lot of bandwidth to go in and be making small tweaks to individual models at this time. But in the future, we want to make this program flexible and accessible and make sure it's meeting market needs. So we'll stay tuned to what the market's saying and what feedback we're getting on the models to make sure we're providing a product that really meets what consumers want and gives them some flexibility to adjust that as needed.
Awesome. Well, Alex, man, this has been some very useful information on ADUs, and especially with the timing in Colorado Springs. Perfect timing.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, man. And appreciate it. Appreciate your time today. And we'll catch you in the next episode.
Sounds great. It's great talking to you, Skip. See you soon.
All right. Great talking to you too, man. Have a great one.
That's a wrap for this episode of the StreamHome Construction Podcast. Ready to bring your vision to life? Snag a free on-site consultation by visiting our website at www.yourstreamhome.com or call or text us at 719-644-6777. Until next time, let's keep building your residential and commercial dream in the greater Colorado Springs area.